Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Now celebrating 17 years of broadcasting success, here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
And welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again, both for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com. We're glad that you all could be with us. Also, just tuning in through our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcast. We're glad you all could be with us as well. Well, we know that definitely the pandemic has been disruptive to our lives, but according to the CDC, COVID-19 has also disrupted the medical routines of a lot of families, including when it comes to children. As a result, too many children have fallen behind when it comes to receiving their recommended vaccines, and that includes all ages, adolescents and young adults in that group as well. What can parents do, and what should they know when it comes to keeping their kids safe as they head back to school? I have two great guests on with us today. We're excited to welcome Dr. Tamera Coyne-Beasley to our program, as well as we're welcoming back Alicia Stillman, the co-founder of the Meningitis B Action Project, to tell us about the information we need to know to make sure that we're all staying safe. Thanks to the two of you for being on with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us, Cyrus.
Hey, glad to do it. Dr. Coyne-Beasley, I want to start with you. You're right next door here in Alabama, so I appreciate you being on with us. Why are adolescent vaccinations so important, Dr. Coyne-Beasley?
Thank you so much for asking that question. They're really important because as we prepare our young people to go back to schools, ensuring that they've had their routine immunizations, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, is essential to being able to protect them from vaccine-preventable diseases and outbreaks. According to the CDC, as you have mentioned, we actually are down on our vaccinations. In 2020, adolescent vaccinations were down 25%. As a result, this leaves way too many children and adolescents vulnerable to vaccine-preventable diseases as well as outbreaks. And it doesn't just leave them vulnerable, it leaves their communities, their campuses, the places where they live and their families vulnerable too. And what do we think about COVID-19 vaccine, which is now available to adolescents 12 years and up? The CDC is recommending not only getting the routinely recommended vaccines, but also getting the COVID-19 vaccine at that time. They can be given at the same time, and they should be given as soon as possible to anyone who has not received them.
Dr. Coyne-Beasley, I want to stay with you for a second because a lot of times when we think about kids and vaccinations, we think about the younger kids. What are the vaccines that adolescents need to make sure that they're getting?
And I'm so glad you emphasized that because, in fact, the adolescents, particularly people who are 12 years of age and older, are actually down or behind on their vaccinations more so than younger kids. But when we think about the vaccines that kids need or that kids 12 years of age and older can get, they can get the COVID-19 vaccine, which is very important, but it's also recommended that they get the flu vaccine during flu season, which is from September to March, that they get Tdap, which is against tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, that they get their HPV vaccine, and that they get two vaccines against meningococcal disease. Now, those two vaccines have different types of the bacteria. So one, which most people are familiar with, is the meningitis A, C, Y, and W vaccine. But there's a second vaccine that many people don't know as much about, and that's the Men-B. It's a newer vaccine. In order to protect your young people against all meningitis disease that we have available in our population, you need both vaccines, the Men-B vaccine and then what we also call the quadrivalent vaccine against serotypes A, C, W, and Y.
Wow. That's a great place then to bring in Alicia back to our program. Alicia, I really appreciate the work you're doing with the Meningitis B Action Project, and you share with us your own personal journey. But for those who may have missed it, why is this such a passion project for you when it comes to being able to bring attention to meningitis B?
Well, as you said, Cyrus, this really is a passion project for me because parents and families today don't have to go through what I did 8 years ago. 8 years ago, the vaccine that would have protected my daughter was not yet licensed in the United States, but it is now. 8 years ago, my daughter called home from college. She was a sophomore at a small liberal arts college in Michigan. Completely healthy, fine. She called home one night. She had a headache, just a headache. I suggested she take Motrin, go to sleep, and she did. She woke up a few hours later, and her roommates took her to the hospital. She presented simply with a headache, and because of that, they treated her for a migraine. My daughter died the next day from meningococcal disease, serogroup B. I remember when I was told, and I said, it is not possible that my daughter has bacterial meningitis. My daughter had received the bacterial meningitis vaccine, but I didn't really know anything about it. And at that time, my daughter had received the MenACWY vaccine as recommended by the CDC at that time, at a dose at age 11, and another dose at age 16 before she went away to college. But in 2013, as I said, the MenB vaccine was not yet licensed. So I could not fully protect my daughter against all 5 of the strains of meningococcal disease. But today, parents can. And unfortunately, some still don't know about it. And I encourage all parents to be proactive, to walk into your medical provider's office and ask, has my child received all of these vaccines, both doses of the MenACWY vaccine and a complete MenB series? Has my child received all the vaccines that they need so that I know I have done everything in my power to protect my child?
It is such an important topic, and I'm so glad, Alicia, that you're here with us, as well as Dr. Coyne-Beasley, to talk to us about this, because, again, as kids are headed back to school here in Mississippi, we've been in school now for 3 weeks already. The school year has started. Parents definitely need to know how to be able to keep their kids safe, and this information is going to help. Alicia, where can our audience go for more information?
They can go to see our work at the www.meningitisbactionsproject.org. They, of course, can also go to the cdc.gov/vaccines and get a complete listing of all the vaccines that they need. And I encourage, when they do that all children 12 and above should also make sure that they've received their COVID vaccine.
Right. Well, thanks to the two of you for this time. I really do appreciate you all stopping by. And it goes without saying, you're both welcome back here anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying, as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. And let's go make today amazing. Take care.